You.
Yes, you.
You are stronger and more capable than you ever thought possible. Greetings to you from wherever you are in the world. I am Anissa, and welcome to the Womanly Warrior. Today, we're going to be talking about my journey on 75 Hard. Picture it. Virginia, January 2026. And if you don't get that reference, watch some Golden Girls. You'll make me feel old. I started off the year, as I have for the past 10 years, which is on my God Walk, which is where I go and I look at my past year's goals that I set, and I pray over them, and I look at how far I've come. I've been stuck on this one goal for years. Lose weight. But this past year was different. I didn't have a weight loss goal. I finally moved past the grip of the scale and was focused on how to move my body better. I was able to squat my body weight for 1 rep, and I was able to run a 10K. I was so proud of what I accomplished, but there was still something that was nagging me. Through my Bible in a year's study, I had been really taken by Galatians 5:22. By contrast, the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, generosity, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Since I began my deconstruction journey, this verse has stuck with me. As it always is, I've been working through everyone. I have most of them down most of the time. But there's still one that I've struggled with since the beginning of my study. Self-control. I've been obese most of my life. I've done every diet under the sun. You name it, I've done it. I've gone from tracking everything that I ate to saying screw it, and then never tracking anything and just eating everything that I wanted to. I hated myself, and I hated who I saw in the mirror. During my God Walk this year, I felt called to this word. I decided to make this my word of the year. I would work on my self-control so that I could serve the Lord completely with my whole heart. The year began, and it was still same old, same old. I was kind of tracking. I was still going to the gym, because without the gym, I'm kind of like a crazy person. I don't have many things to help me reduce stress, but the gym is like my place. But I was still lacking the structure of finding self-control. That was until I was scrolling on YouTube one day, and then a video for 75 Hard popped up. I watched it, and I knew I wanted to do it. Although, as I always do, thought about the negatives. I was like, oh, this is going to be way too hard. I don't know how this is going to turn out for me. I don't know if this is going to be too restrictive. Like, maybe I could do this 75 soft challenge that I saw. And so I looked over that, and that still was not enough. It was not enough rigidity. There was still some ability for me to cheat, and I wouldn't have to start back at the beginning. And so I knew that that was just not the option for me. Plus, I was always drinking a half gallon of water, so that was not the problem. I was still going to the gym, and, I had about a rest day or so it wasn't like, it was this great big immersion. Really, the consistency that I needed was in my food. I needed guardrails, and I needed to know, hey, if you cheat today, you have to start back at zero. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. This is where my 75 Hard journey begins. I planned out everything. I planned to start on Saturday, the 24th of January, 2026. I chose Saturday specifically so I could fix the, I'll just start Monday routine that I had been so known for doing. I chose the diet I was going to do, which was the Mediterranean diet. I planned my workouts. I bought all the books that I needed through the duration of the 75 Hard Challenge. Everything was ready to go. Then Saturday came, and it was negative 20 degrees outside. And for a challenge that you have to work out outside for 45 minutes every day for 75 days, that seemed really cold. See, it was the day before the massive snowstorm that hit the East Coast and kept me out of church for 2 weeks because they couldn't get into the parking lot. It was so cold. And then all the snow accumulation, it was like a foot of snow or something around my house. Like, it was insane. And also, the morning I woke up and everything was getting ready to take my photos, I got my period. So I had every reason in the world to say, you know what, it's okay. I'm going to take the L today. I'm just going to wait and I'll do it maybe tomorrow or maybe Monday or whenever it gets warm again. But I felt the Spirit say, no, just start. It'll be okay. You can do this. So I trusted in the Lord and in myself, and I started that day. I took my progress photos, I did my weigh-in and measurements, and I went forth the day as I would have. I worked out outside for 45 minutes with 4 layers of clothing on, and I worked out inside in my home because I couldn't leave the house, and I ate the food that I had prepped and planned, and everything went according to plan. I did it on the cold days like this one.
I just got done with day 2's outside workout, and it's literally like there's so much snow. But we did it. We got it done. And now I get to go inside and eat dinner.
And I did it through a week of celebrating my first recital post-graduate school, my anniversary to my wonderful husband, and my birthday, in which I turned 26, in the same week. And I did it during Easter, where I didn't get to participate in any of the lovely sweets and candies that you get, especially those Cadbury eggs, where they're like the milk chocolate ones that are covered and they look like little eggs. Those are my mom's favorite, and so then it became a tradition every Easter, and they became my favorite. But I didn't get them this year because of the challenge. I finished on April 9th, 2026.
Last 75 hard workout outside complete. It's been the most trying morning ever. My son woke up early. It was like I was out here for 8 minutes before he had to wake up, so I had to go in, I had to take care of him, I had to take care of my husband to get him ready for work, but we got it done. It's amazing to me how nice it is outside. And the first time I worked out outside was on the same balcony in the fresh air, but it was like -12. It was so cold and I was in so many layers, but we're here now and it's done. I'm so emotional.
That day, I drove in DMV, which is the DC, Maryland, Virginia area on the Beltway, where there's always traffic and you're there forever. Because I work in Maryland and live in Virginia, so it's always a stretch. I sat in that rush hour traffic for probably over an hour, and I had just spent the entire day before that cleaning my house, as I like to make Thursdays cleaning day. Even on my last day of the challenge, I had every reason to skip a workout or to go through the drive-thru, get some food, because I knew that I'd be sitting in traffic for a long time and didn't have time to prepare meals. God gave me the strength to see it through, which is why I'm making this video now. So, what did I do? Per the 75 hard challenge, I had 2 workouts a day that I had to do. One of them had to be outside. Both of them had to be for 45 minutes, at least. It could have been longer, but definitely for 45 minutes. While doing this challenge, I decided to fix my posture. I have always had a sway back or an anterior tilt for as long as I can remember, just from where I carry my weight, especially on my abdomen, which I feel like a lot of us ladies have to deal with. But it only got worse during pregnancy and postpartum. I want to run again, ideally completing the goal that I set during my God Walk this past year of running a sub 45 minute 5K. But I got to the point where I couldn't walk without having extreme back pain. So I focused everything around that. Outside workouts consisted of walking when the weather was permissible, which ended up becoming a lovely thing I got to do with my son. With his little jogging stroller, we would get to go, and he would just get to chill and see outside, and then I would also get the fresh air and the workout. When it rained or when it was too cold for him to go out, I tended to work out on my balcony, which is where I would do a lot of the Grow with Joe workouts that you can find here on YouTube. It worked great. I got so much stronger by the end. While doing my workout, I focused on keeping my tail tucked, as I like to call it, which is basically just imagining that my pelvic floor is just sitting straight as it should be, as opposed to wanting to tilt it out or like stick my butt out, as is normal for me, which is what my muscles are used to doing. This allows me to not have the back pain, and also allows me to use my core and my glutes and my hamstrings in the proper way that they're supposed to. The same principle applied to my indoor workouts as well. I would go to the gym from my leg days primarily. I think I did a couple of chest days, which is where I did some bench pressing and things, but it ended up working out better to just do stuff at home. And I had an at-home full body day as well. And I also did some ab workouts at home. And then on days that I wasn't lifting or doing any ab stuff, I had one kind of sort of rest day, and that was when I did my yoga. I focused on the tail tucking while doing every exercise, and to do that, to ensure that I did that properly, I had to lower my weights, which was kind of humbling for certain, as I had just, did my max, my body weight squat and everything, but I wanted to make sure that I was focused on that proper alignment, proper posture. And I did the lowering of the weights, and I also focused on TUT, or time under tension. As I mentioned before, I trained abs. I did that usually twice a week because my abs have just grown so loose and weak, even before pregnancy, but especially during pregnancy and postpartum. They've just not gone back to where they used to be. So I had to make sure that I trained those as well. The worst part of my indoor workouts that I planned myself were the lunges. I hate lunges, but I added curtsy lunges and reverse lunges because they're really wonderful for that pelvic floor connection and for strengthening your glutes and your hamstrings. But man, they suck. But it was worth it. My posture has never looked better. When I started the challenge, I looked through several diets. As I said before, I've done every diet almost under the sun. You name it, I've done it. I did keto, Weight Watchers, those little portion cup 21-day fix things. I did those in undergrad. Macros, tracking just calories, weighing out every single morsel that I ate. I mean, I truly thought I had done it all. But the one I'd heard of and then never decided to do before now was the Mediterranean diet. I had heard it was one of the healthiest diets that you could do, good for your heart, whatever, but I just had never endeavored to try it. But after deciding to do the challenge and then doing some research, I realized that this was exactly what I wanted to do. First, the diet encourages additions of foods as opposed to complete removal of foods. A lot of it is focused on moderation. It encourages lots of fruits and veggies, whole grains, seafood at least 2 to 3 times a week, especially like salmon, which is really high in omega-3s, and limits sugar and ultra-processed foods. This encouraged me to eat a more nutrient-dense diet as opposed to what I had eaten before, which is a lot of processed food, takeout stuff, and even the processed protein bars and things to get my protein in. It just made me feel so inflamed. And on this diet, it's crazy to me that I have felt so much less inflammation than I did before, even though I'm eating technically in my sweeteners with the honey and the maple syrup. They're technically more calories than, a stevia or a Splenda, but they're so much more inflammatory because they're not natural. So that's been probably one of the biggest changes that I will continue to have. Since I celebrated some pretty big milestones during this challenge, like my birthday, my anniversary, my recital, Easter, all that stuff, I had to make some conscious swaps to adhere to the diet during the challenge. It was a lot of fun, actually. I made carrot cake, brownies, and even Snickers. The difference was I made Mediterranean diet swaps. Like for the Snickers, they're actually dates. And then for the brownies, I had banana and honey. And for the carrot cake, same thing. I did honey instead of sugar. I had been craving ice cream for weeks. And I just kept pushing, and I was like, I could do all these different things. I tried a sorbet, and I think the best thing that I did was I made a mousse, which I'd never even attempted to make before, and it was so good. It was so awesome. And I was able to make enough that I was able to meal prep it for the week. And so each night, after I got home from teaching or from rehearsal or whatever, I got to enjoy before bed a little thing of mousse. I really had to think outside the box for a lot of these foods. And it was wonderful to get to try new things that I never would have even attempted to try beforehand. I did have a few duds, but hey, it's alright. At least I tried them. I truly look forward to continuing this diet even now that this challenge has ended. Also, as part of the challenge, you have to drink a gallon of water each day. So, this is my jug. It is a half gallon, so I drank 2 of these a day. I've always been a big jug girl, pun intended, but my rosy pink jug became my second accessory along with my phone. I never leave home without it. The first book I read was The Let Them Theory by Robbins, which I have conveniently lost the case to, because it's one of those paper ones, and I have a toddler. But at least the hard copy is still intact. It essentially discusses how to let others be as they are, and how we have the power to control how we react and how we act in the world. It was life-changing for me. I was able to put the theory into practice, and it really helped me gain a sense of empathy that I had but didn't truly have in the way that I have now, and also allowed me to regain power for myself of who I am and how I am in control of how I react to others. The second book I read was The Making of Biblical Womanhood by Beth, Allison, Barr. Of all the books that I read, this one changed me the most. As a Baptist pastor's wife and theological scholar in her own right, Barr discusses the path of biblical womanhood as we know it today and how it came to be. She discusses the Pauline letters and how it may not have been what Paul said, but how we have taken the words out of context to fit the worldly norms, both from the Middle Ages to now. She then discusses the great cloud of female witnesses like Marjorie Kempe and Hildegard of Bingen. Hildy, as I like to call her, was one of my favorite studies from my conservatory days in undergrad. She's awesome. Y'all should really look her up. She then goes through the evangelical traditions of today, like the reinvigoration of the trad wife from the 1950s and beyond. It's a wonderful read, and I really highly recommend it. My third book was Tell Her Story by Nijay Gupta, and actually the foreword is by Beth, Allison, Barr, the author of The Making of Biblical Woman. This story helped to put into context the women of the Bible, and especially the household codes of Ephesians 5 and then 1 Timothy as well into context. It's historically focused on women, first in Rome and in the time period in which Jesus and the apostles lived and ministered. It then goes on to discuss women like Prisca or Priscilla, as you may know her, Priscilla and Aquila, Junia, Nympha, and finally Phoebe. A deacon, Phoebe was entrusted with delivering Paul's letters to the Romans. Paul worked and revered these women for their love and their service and their ministry. Between this and the Barr book, I feel so secure in my position as a daughter of the King, and I feel so on fire for ministry that this is in fact why I began the Womanly Warrior ministry. My fourth book, in which I'm still working on because there wasn't enough time to finish during the challenge, is Jesus and John Wayne by Kristen Gomez. The last section of the book I read before the challenge ended was actually about Phyllis Schlafly and her anti-ERA stance and how she maneuvered about with everything that she did. And then also about Maribel Morgan and her book, The Total Woman, which basically is the baking of biblical womanhood in a different print. And John Wayne goes through the journey of fundamentalism to evangelicalism to Christian nationalism. I plan on finishing this book within the next couple days, so if you like a more in-depth breakdown of this one or any of the other ones that I mentioned, just let me know in the comments. Now, the good part. I did all the work. I sacrificed blood, sweat, tears, and warmth due to those cold workout days to complete this challenge. First, here are my before and afters. I took photos every day of this challenge, so I'm just going to let them run here in a quick succession while we go over the rest of my stats. In terms of numbers, over the course of this challenge, I lost 11.8 pounds. I lost 2 inches off my waist, ½ inch off my arms, 1 inch off my thighs, and 4 inches off my hips. Though lower numbers are great, they weren't the real point of this challenge for me. I feel so much closer to God now after completing this challenge. I will always look forward to having more self-control, but now I truly want to fuel my body with foods that make me feel good and are honoring to my body that is God's temple. My connection to the Holy Spirit has never felt as strong as it does right now. I found love for myself. And now when I look at myself in the mirror, I just love who's staring back at me. Some may find this challenge limiting, but I found it so encouraging. I was able to step outside of my box of things that just weren't working, and I was able to find the confidence in myself to become the woman of God that I always knew I could be. This is not to say that I'm done, that this is all the work that I'm going to do and I'm super great now. This is not to say that I won't continue to keep working on myself. There's always more work to do. We'll be working on this. I'll be working on this until the Lord calls me home, because we have all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. This is why I will always need prayer and humility as I go forth each day that I live. But I grow stronger in my faith every single day. Beginning soon, I will be embarking on a challenge of what I guess you can say is of my own making. Although when I got this idea, I was on a walk with my son. It was part of the challenge, actually. It was kind of like, what am I going to do next? And I felt the Spirit basically just go, here you go, boop. It was essentially like that. I was praying and thinking about this ministry and where we could go from here and what I could do. And I've got my own reservations about doing anything wellness related or anything like that. And I just felt the Spirit go, here you go. And it was basically like fully formed. It was a fully formed idea from the get. So I will be embarking on that myself, and I actually think my husband's going to partake in it with me. So if you'd like to know more about that as I go forth on this challenge, please let me know in the comments. It'll be a 40 days long challenge because, you know, if it was good enough for Jesus and good enough for Noah, it's good enough for me. I plan to make a video about the challenge once it's completed, just like I did with this challenge as well. But if you'd like more, just let me know in the comments and I'll let you know all about it. Thank you so much for joining me today on the 75 Hard recap. If you'd like to do the challenge yourself, I highly recommend it. You.
Yes, you.
You are stronger and more capable than you ever thought possible. God loves you. I love you. Be the womanly warrior God calls you to be.